It's time to pop the top off with Pub Talk. Today, we have All-Stars. Football, 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 and football. Hops of the week to finish us off, of course, but before we begin, Pub Talk is brought to you by Route 11 Chips. It's football season. Weekends are all about college and NFL football. Just by sitting on the couch or throwing a huge party, you're going to need some chips, and Route 11 has got you covered. Since 1992, Route 11 has been chipping away to give its consumers a great and tasty product. So make sure you check out your local Martin's Food Line bag today. All right, lights, beer, action.
Wait. Yeah. Hit it, boy.
We're back in the pub tonight.
Yeah.
Happy Veterans Day to all of you out there who have served or are still serving till this very day. This is the greatest country in the world, and it is thanks to you for keeping us safe. Happy Veterans Day. Thank you to all of our soldiers overseas, men and women, all above. Thank
Home and
you,
abroad.
and God
Home and
bless.
abroad.
So, without that somber note, let's kick it off. Welcome
Somber?
back.
Hell no! It's a freaking. It's a cheer. That's why we knocked the top off a couple cold beers. I'll tilt one to the old veterans.
We're going to start it off with the beer, actually. Yeah, we're going to
You
start
and
it
that
off.
Susquehanna orange.
Hey, I could drink these all day. I really can't. Like, I just chugged like half of this as soon as I opened it up. It's a great beer. So, All Stars
You ate
once
salty
again.
wings.
Huh?
You ate salty wings. We had wings.
So the orange is really, it combs my taste buds. So Susquehanna orange I am drinking, and we have Founders Solid Gold here.
Yeah,
to the far
I
end
checked
of the
it out.
table.
I thought I had it once before. I was like, I got to give it another taste. So I grabbed. They're out of. I think Founders is out of Michigan, and I just had to Grand Rapids. Yep, Grand Rapids, Michigan. I had to give them another taste. I'll tell you what, I really like this Founders Lager. It's called Premium Lager, Solid Gold. Man. I don't know why I wanted to not like it before, but I thoroughly enjoy it. Now, as much as I do like it, Honors Brewing, which would have been more apropos today on Veterans Day.
It would have been perfect. We didn't
Line
even
of
think
sight.
about it.
Oh
we
no,
drink too
I can't.
damn much.
Your mother would get mad at me if I spent all the money I want to spend on Line of Sight, because I'm telling you what, that might be one of my all-time new favorites. You look back at the history of our show, and we haven't had that many episodes. But going back to Zombie Honey Ale, that might be one of my all-time favorites. But I'm telling you what, Line of Sight, you said drink all day. Well,
I know. Yeah, it speaks to us perfectly because
I'm telling
it's
you.
Monday night, it's Veterans Day, and
Yep.
we're drinking, and we got to
Yep.
work tomorrow. So
and Booger McFarland's on TV.
I know.
How would you like to
literally
have
about
a
comment.
magic button to mute him during the game?
Oh, I would love to, because he's one Popeye's chicken biscuit away from being a tight end. He has some great quotes, but okay, it's football time. This was the first weekend for college football to have the college football playoff rankings. We had the top four come out.
Yep.
You had Ohio State at number 1, who beat Maryland 66. I think it was 66 to
73-14.
73-14.
Yeah.
So there you go. There's the number 1 team out of the way. We'll get to the number 2 and number 3 teams because they played each other,
Yep.
and it was a fantastic game. And then the number 4 team, we're going to start off with that. Okay? Penn State.
What the hell's Big Tom doing?
I don't know.
He's
Big
checking
Tom,
out the show.
Get down.
He's all right. Let him
It's
check
okay.
out the show.
Penn State was ranked number 4 for the first round of the college football rankings.
Yeah.
And I was very pissed off, and I was very upset because I was like, are you fucking serious? Clemson gets left out of the top 4 when they have won 24 games now in a row, and they are not in the top 4 because of their strength of schedule. Well, guess what? Alabama hasn't played anybody either, and neither has Ohio State. But because Ohio State is drubbing everybody, everyone seems to think that they are the number 1 team in the country. But Clemson, the defending national champions, the kings of the FBS, are not in the top 4. Are you serious? So Penn State, the Nittany Lions, get ranked at number 4, and guess who they got to play in their first weekend in the college football rankings? They got to go up to the tippity top of the United States and play against the Minnesota Golden Gophers.
Yep.
Against PJ Fleck.
The Fighting Flex, baby. Row that boat.
Row that boat. It's just
Well,
like Coach
I got
O.
something. You say that. I got something for you. Listen to this.
Everybody comes to see us. This place will be packed, not for them. Them. Their damn boats.
Fuck their damn. Why is it bleeping that out?
Well,
he said
somebody
Sean Clifford, the
said-
starting quarterback for Penn State, says they're coming here for us, not for them. Fuck their boat. Well, guess what, Sean Clifford? You can take that boat and shove it up your ass because that's what they did to you. Minnesota
I'll tell you what,
made
Coach
you.
Fleck took his gold shoes and put it in her ass. Because I'll tell you what,
What can you say about him that
that-
is negative?
Did you see his team play with freaking the ultimate passion? I mean,
On both sides of the ball, too.
yes.
On
I
both
mean,
sides.
They saw an opportunity. They took it. They rode that boat.
Tanner Morgan, I had never heard of him before.
Yeah.
And my God, he looks like a Heisman candidate quarterback against Penn State in a top
I
tier
wouldn't go
defense.
that far, but
I'm saying against
but in
Penn
terms
State's
of,
defense.
I'm telling you what, as a game manager, he was freaking solid. He was dialed in, rock solid, and you can't ask any more than that of your quarterback.
And their wide receivers like Bateman, my God, they were just absolutely mossing Penn State's cornerbacks. They just looked so dominant on both sides of the ball.
And still, Penn State had a chance to win it, and
they just couldn't do it.
I still think, and you and I talked about this during the game because we were watching it. Your grandparents were here. We watched this game, and I'm telling you, on that last play, Handler was held. There should have been a PI thrown, and it wasn't.
But you can't always rely on the refs. You
Right.
can't do
I get that. That's the human factor involved in the game. And sometimes it gets missed, and while it sucks and you'd like to take it out on the officials, it happens. So, I mean, you got to get over it. I think Coach Fleck and his staff put together a hell of a game plan. And, up to this point, Penn State was playing some pretty damn good football. And so you got to give it to Coach Fleck. Is it so much that the Penn State played poorly, or did Minnesota play out of their mind? They played extremely well. They played like an 8-0 team. They took advantage of the freaking
But it was an
opportunities that were
8-0 team
given.
that nobody in the country believed in.
Right,
It was a
right.
team that is
Yeah.
like, oh, well, you beat fucking nobody. Well,
I get
guess
that.
what? They're going to have it. Guess who they got to play next week? They're going to play Iowa. They're going to play Iowa.
Right. They're going to get an opportunity.
And then they're going to play Wisconsin.
Right.
And if they beat Iowa, they have a chance to play for the Big Ten championship.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
they'll play Ohio State.
Yeah.
And we'll see. Hey, I'm not saying they will beat them. But what I am saying is that you got to be a little scared of Minnesota. I don't care if Penn State almost beat them.
You got to give them their due respect. Everybody busts, Coach Fleck for his row the boat stuff and the damn flying geese, and he got a goose in his office and crazy shit like that. But I'll tell you what, he gets his guys to play, and that's what his job is. Get your players to be successful and produce results on the field, and that's what they're doing.
And the only way that you can continuously do
your mother
that,
would get pissed at me if I told you that I was kind of closetly rooting for him. But that's the kind of thing that makes college sports so special, is that you never know. You never know what's going to happen.
he handles his business with the media, and then when he's off the cameras, he goes crowd surfing with his players.
Did you
in
see
the
him run
locker
down
room.
there? How about his go-to-hell gold shoes? That cracked
And Minnesota
me up.
wore the best uniforms too. They wore the shiny gold
Yeah,
helmets.
the
They
gold
wore
helmet was pretty
They wore
cool.
the dark uniforms. They looked beautiful. But I want to talk about Penn State a little bit more because Sean Clifford looked terrible. He threw 3 interceptions. He looked very average at best.
Yeah.
And this has been the case, though, it seems, with the offense having to do just terribly when it comes to big games like this. You saw it against Michigan, and you saw the defense try and carry the load. But guess what? If you can't produce anything on offense, you're going to kill your defense. It's just the way of the world with football. Unless your defense is as elite as it comes, your defense will fall.
Yeah,
And-
I don't disagree. I don't. I think what Minnesota was able to do wasn't a miracle. There wasn't anything to it. There was no magic pill or anything like that. It came down to executing.
It's fucking Minnesota is cold as shit. There's no pills to cover anything.
They executed. They executed like they were supposed to. Look at that flyover. Monday Night Football. 2 jets flying over. National anthem going off. Fireworks. Big American flag. America. It's just badass. We live in the biggest badass country there is.
Well, now Penn State does not have a chance to play for a national championship.
No, I don't see anything come short of
unless they beat Ohio State.
Yeah, I mean
that is the only caveat that I could see them get back.
They have big play capability, and I know Ohio State has it as well, but Penn State, they've played in a gazillion games. They beat Ohio State before when they had no business being within 2 touchdowns of them. So you can't look back and say, oh, that'll never happen, because as soon as you say that in college football, that shit'll happen, and it'll happen in the blink of an eye. So I'm not counting Penn State out right now. I don't think that they're in Ohio State's league, but that's why they play the games. If we sat back and didn't play the games because of rankings, we wouldn't be watching much TV, right? We just wouldn't be.
But that's why so many people love their teams.
We'd be watching Tech UVA.
Oh, I don't want to watch that.
Hey.
It's such a boring-ass game to watch here. College football in the state of Virginia is awful. It really is. Like, there's nothing good going on in the state of Virginia when it comes to college football. That. What? You're going to tell me that UVA, who has just not been a consistent program under Bronco Mendenhall, he may be trying to turn it around. And then you got Justin Fuente down at Virginia Tech.
And look what they've done in the last 3 or 4 weeks when people thought he was going to get shit canned.
He probably still is because
look how they turn things around and kids are playing their tail off. And they got the right mix, and whether they're playing with emotion
I think that's
for
more
Coach
for Bud Foster.
Could be.
Because
but
apparently Bud Foster's leaving because he fucking hates Justin Fuente.
I don't know about that. He's been in the game for 30-odd years, and it's time to walk away. The man's got a tattoo and likes to drink beer.
But after 2 years with Justin Fuente, he's like, yeah, this ain't happening. Yeah, I don't see.
Okay, so he walks away now, and he ends up on another field somewhere else as a head coach.
It's like Urban Meyer. Every single 2 years, he's just back in the game.
We talked about that before. I did some reading about it. I don't know where the heck he's going to end up. Why should I even worry about that? If he ends up on another team, he ends up on another team.
Okay.
They'll be successful, and that's just the way it is.
So, Alabama, LSU. This is LSU in the last 8 seasons has been 0-8.
Yeah,
they have not beaten Alabama, and that includes losing in the national championship game in 2011 to them.
Yeah,
they got shut out. Ever since then, LSU, including last year, lost 29-0 to Alabama. Okay, everything that speaks to that record and those accolades says. How the fuck can LSU do this? I don't care if they're the number 2 team. If they haven't beaten Alabama in 8 years. How are they going to be able to do this? Well, guess what? Not only did they just waltz into Tuscaloosa, they freaking just bent them over and screwed them hard. They really did. LSU put the hammer down on Alabama and the college football
in the
world.
first half. I wouldn't disagree. In the first half,
the score may be only a 5-point difference, but it doesn't even do it as justice. It doesn't even compare, because what Coach O has done for the program of LSU has been fantastic. He has brought in the right coaches, especially Joe Brady, who is the quarterback's coach for LSU, and he's turned Joe Burrow into my Heisman vote now.
Hey, when you throw for just under 400 yards and 3 touchdowns against an Alabama defense, you did a hell of a job.
He's completing 78% of his passes in college football. That's insane. That is unbelievable for a guy who last year didn't do dick against Alabama and got shut out. And Coach O is a special person. He's a special coach.
Yes, sir. We're going to beat their ass in recruiting. We're going to beat their ass every time they see us. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
Roll Tide, what? Fuck you.
Yeah, Coach O.
You're right.
That's what I'm talking about.
No, fuck you. That's right.
Roll Tide who? fuck you.
Because fuck you, Alabama fans. Because I'm sick and tired of this. I'm glad to see you guys lose to a quality opponent. I'm glad to see you guys fall off the pedestal.
You say that.
I am, because I'm tired of all these Alabama fans out here who who literally sit on their back porch and wear a hat backwards and yell, Roll Tide, yeehaw.
You say that, and then 2 weeks from now they could play again.
They're going to play it's just going to happen.
And
they're
Alabama
not falling
will win
out
by 2 touchdowns. It could happen like that.
Alabama's not going to fall out of the college football playoff.
They're number 4.
Nick Saban is not going to fall out of the college football playoff.
No, heck no, they're not. They're too competitive. And that blowout, that was a blowout in the first half. I mean, they just completely dominated them.
That's what
they
I'm
took
saying,
advantage
though.
of every opportunity that they were given, every execution error that Alabama had. LSU made them pay for it. And at the end, it was still a winnable game until the very last couple of minutes.
Okay, but I still don't see how Alabama, in the one game where they were tightly contested, did not take control. Okay, they haven't played anybody all year in terms of SEC competition up until this point.
I get it.
They played Arkansas, Duke, Texas A&M, teams that have not produced.
I get it. You can say that about a lot of teams, but when it comes down to it, you look at the history and tradition over the last decade.
I'm not
at
saying
Alabama
Nick
football,
Saban's the greatest college football
you can
coach
match
of
that
all
against
time.
LSU any
Okay?
day of the week. So because LSU has one good team and Alabama stumbled a bit in one game, now we get to bash them. Well, you can't do that, because as soon as you start to do that, Alabama will rise up and punch you right in the mouth, and that's just how
It's
it
like
is.
New England.
It's like that in a lot of sports, But that's why they play the games.
I know.
I said that once before, and I'm saying it again.
But I like this game because I loved Coach O handling it with class, and then in the locker room he says, "Roll Tide, fuck you." Okay, that's what you should say. And the fact that was caught on camera makes it 10 times better. It makes it 10 times better.
Well, the
because
fact that he had a player recording it.
That's what I'm saying, is that it makes it 10 times better.
No,
you know what's
that's not good.
Yes,
that's
it is.
Not good.
When I don't care what.
No, it's not good, because it should have been the thing of legend. It should have been where you weren't there, but this is what Coach O said. And then it would have spiraled out of control, and then it would have said that he killed a bear at the same time. In honor of taking down Bear Bryant's squad. He killed a bear with a knife, and it just would have been better.
But still,
it would have been better.
Reporters don't even do it as justice, and on the sidelines, it's getting really heated down here.
Yeah.
No, I want to hear her say, "Yeah, Nick Saban just broke a clipboard and said fuck you" to his assistant coach down here.
Yeah, he's yelling at players, and he wants to kill somebody.
I mean, I would love to hear that, but we don't get to hear that type of stuff. And hearing Coach O say that in his deep, graspy voice,
like he just drank. It's like he just drank a glass of glass, a big mug of glass.
Yeah, I love hearing
Go Tigers.
after every single thing. Go Tigers. After every single thing, he's like, "Thanks, Coach. Go Tigers." And congratulations to LSU. You should be the number 1 team in the college football rankings, because now you have beaten Texas, Florida,
They are number
Auburn.
1.
No, they're number 2 in the college football rankings.
AP poll says number 1.
Yeah, but the college football rankings say
Well, they
number
don't
2.
know anything.
The playoff rankings say number 2, but they have beaten Texas, Florida, Auburn, and now Alabama. And who has Ohio State beaten? Oh, they beat
Wofford?
Maryland.
Did they beat Wofford?
No, that was Clemson. That was Clemson who
over
beat Wofford.
Well, they are both from South Carolina.
They're in the same vicinity, right? And
the Wofford Terriers.
hey, they run the triple option for Division One AA.
A Tiger ate a terrier.
I really could give a shit about Wofford, honestly.
They got a cool little mascot, though. I like.
Yeah, it's a freaking terrier.
I know. I like it. I'm just saying.
So, those were the big, huge games for this weekend.
Yep.
But Baylor.
You know who? Wait a minute.
Oh, okay.
Before you get in that, before we get to my sleeper team, don't sleep on these cats. They playing in big games, because I've been talking about them for several weeks now. Is Georgia sneaking up into number 5 in the AP poll? You think they're going to be there? You think they're going to be there at the end?
If they win in the SEC championship game, yeah, maybe,
Gotta
because
be
they
there.
will go.
Gotta
They're
be
the
there.
only team in the SEC East that can make it out of that division of the SEC.
Okay.
So they would play LSU because Alabama can't make it.
Yeah, they can't make it. So I'm thinking maybe Georgia. That might be a good ball game.
I understand why it would do that.
If they're
but,
healthy, could that be a
man.
good ball game?
I would be so upset because honestly, could it be a good ball game? No, I don't.
Why?
Because I still think that Georgia is this very bland, boring-ass team that has all these great players around them, but doesn't have the good coaching to be able to go out there and dominate teams. They lost to fucking Will Muschamp, who is going to get fired this year from South Carolina.
You think?
Oh, yeah. He's had 4 years now. They just lost to Appalachian State.
Well,
okay?
App State's no freaking joke, though.
I know, but they're still in the SoCon. Okay, they're not an SEC team. And to play against, clearly to most fans, the best conference in college football and beat a team like that, you deserve to be fired. This is your 4th year. You haven't done anything. You haven't excelled the program. You've beaten Georgia. Congratulations. But Georgia should have won that game. They had so many opportunities to win.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I don't see Georgia beating LSU, especially with the way that they handled business against
You don't
Alabama.
think they come in overconfident?
Who, LSU?
Yeah.
No, Coach O is too good of a coach to allow that to happen. Because even in the game, after the game was over against Alabama, he was like, I don't know, we'll have to see. We have to go kick Ole Miss ass next week. It's like they're focused on the next game at hand. They don't look ahead. They look at the next week and look at that. They don't give a fuck about who they're playing.
Okay.
And that's why I don't see Georgia.
Okay.
What about,
I'm just saying, I just thought, kind of threw that in there.
I understand Georgia is a sleeper, but I still don't see them as that good enough team.
Well, I'm just saying, if they can find a way to take down LSU, I don't think LSU drops out of the top 4. And that makes Georgia a very big sleeper to jump up in there. That would kick Alabama
I still think
out.
they're a top 5 team, but I don't think that they have what it takes to win a national championship with that
I'm
offense.
just saying that would be an opportunity if they could take down LSU, because I don't think LSU will drop out of the top 4.
No,
even
no,
with
no,
a
no,
loss.
no. They already
And
have
even
the
with
resume
a loss,
enough.
And it might bump Georgia in and kick Alabama out.
I would love that more.
And then
I
here
would.
comes the big coup de grace, is that if Ohio State gets upset by somebody like a Penn State or a Michigan, and you can't doubt
That
Michigan.
Michigan game is looking more and more better right now.
It's very interesting.
It's looking like an interesting game. I like the stats
I
say
don't
that
want- I
Ohio
don't-
State should
right.
rob them.
Yes,
but
I
still.
think so. I think at
Best, it looks like Ohio State should
okay.
rob them.
Yeah,
But
I think so. I think Ohio State is a big problem for Michigan. But Michigan is playing very well right now. So
And they're playing like they with their heads cut off. They
right,
don't care.
hey, we got nothing to lose, right? Kind of thing.
I know.
So we'll
All
see.
right, so
Could be interesting.
One of the other undefeated teams who keeps surviving is Baylor. Baylor has now won.
Coach Rule, baby.
They've won 2 games.
Are
in
they
a row
rowing
now.
a boat down there? They read PJ Fleck's book.
No, they're still trying to get out of the whole sexual abuse case that.
Well,
went on
Coach
down
Rule
there.
didn't do any of that.
I know that was Bryles, but I'm still saying they're still trying to get over that hump. But they are right now because for the past 2 weeks they've played against West Virginia and survived.
Yeah.
And then they played against TCU, who beat Texas last week,
Right.
2 weeks ago, which is great for them. But
Yeah.
they had to survive against TCU and go to triple overtime. But they're still undefeated. But guess
Hey,
what?
that's what happens.
This week they got Oklahoma. So
Okay.
and it's in
Okay.
Baylor. It's in Texas. It's at
Okay,
Baylor.
well, I'm telling you, you don't be surprised if Coach Rule doesn't have these boys ready to play. I've been a big fan of his since he was at Temple. I've been a big fan of him. I would not be surprised. It would not surprise me if Baylor beats them. And not in an upset, but beats their ass.
Oh, I am 100% on board with that because Oklahoma had to survive against Iowa State this week, who had a quarterback throw 5 touchdowns against them, only threw the ball 20 times, and Oklahoma only wins by 1 point against an Iowa State team that isn't that good anymore.
I'll grant you that Oklahoma's a tough out. They just are. They're going to be a tough out. But this Baylor team is very intriguing. And I've been going back for, 3 weeks now? 4 weeks? Watching them peel off win after win after win. If they win, I would go, told you so. Told you that was going to happen. So Baylor's in the top 15.
We've said
AP
that-
poll has them at 12. So
I've said this. If Baylor continues to go undefeated, like, what's to say that they don't belong in the top 4? I'm just saying.
get their own ring. Get their own ring. Central Florida.
Just like UCF.
Yeah.
Just like Penn State back in 95. Just like Alabama back in 41.
Hey, Joe Paul got those rings.
Like, I would not be surprised
He's
if they
dead,
so
isn't he?
proclaim. Yes.
Oh, I'm just checking.
What? Why? What? That's so mean. All right.
Sorry.
So other games, I thought it was pretty funny. Like, Clemson played NC State this weekend. It was pretty funny. Clemson won their division. They're part of the ACC, so they're going to go to the ACC championship game. Yeah, that's right. College football playoff. They've won their conference. They've won their division 3 weeks before the season has ended. Okay, I hope you understand that. And
Yes.
when I see that, it was funny because Dabo Swinney got Gatorade bathed. They had their linebacker come out and kick an extra point, and he shanked it. He
Good.
fucking missed it. And then Dabo Swinney, people have this issue with Dabo Swinney and all this shit, and it's like, dude, just let him play. What
are you
pissed.
talking? Who has an issue
They're
with
pissed.
him?
People just have issues with him
That's
because
they're
he's
idiots.
winning.
That's
'Cause
people are idiots
people don't
because he's a
like winning.
great freaking coach. He's the highest paid coach. He gets results. He freaking gets the players. They have 19 freaking commits already for 2020. They have 19 commits, and the vast majority of them, I out of the 19, I wish I could go back and I could probably count them all at the top of my head. I think out of the 19, there are 11 5-star athletes. If I'm a 5-star athlete and Clemson's coach comes and says, "Hey, we think you might be a good fit for us," guess what? I'm going to look good in orange and purple.
You're damn
I'm going to go.
right.
I'm going to be so jacked up. There's not even
They're
going to
more
be any
orange
doubt.
than purple. There's not really like.
Well, they got a purple.
I know they
uniform
have it,
anyway.
but
you know what I
doesn't
mean.
matter.
The orange. I'm gonna look badass in orange and white.
Yeah,
I'm gonna look like a great creamsicle.
I love the tiger paw.
Yeah, I like that whole thing. And
All
you
right.
can't tell me what they do there. Jeez, freaking Venables. Are you kidding me? If I'm a defensive player, if I'm a linebacker, and Clemson says we want you to come play linebacker for me, I'd be like. I'd be
Full
all over
ride,
that.
yeah,
I'd be
let's
lapping
do it.
my ass.
Yeah.
I'd be lapping ass up, ready to go.
I'd say bye, mama, and with the middle finger on the way.
I
out.
must start talking in a southern accent, Mama.
Oh, South
Well, I'm
Carolina
going-
ain't that deep into the South.
Are you talking about they were the first state to secede from
I'm
the
saying
Union?
deep in the South on the map. Okay, I'm not talking about seceding first. I know the battle.
Well,
I know the Battle of Fort Sumter was the first battle, okay? I actually know my history,
Well,
unlike a lot of people out there.
They seceded from the Union first.
I know, but
That's the heart
I'm
of the
talking
South.
about on the map, it's not that deep down to where, like, Alabama or Mississippi.
It's not that far away.
All right, so
But it's
last
nice.
game I want to talk about. This was a funny game. SMU, after coming off of a win against a loss against Memphis, they played East Carolina this weekend, and the final score was 59-51. I just want to run this stat off.
Good
to you
defense.
people.
That's a hell of a defensive
So
effort there,
we
boy.
have 644 yards of total offense for the Pirates of ECU, and then we have 636 for the SMU.
So just doing some quick math in my head, what are we about
1280.
Almost
We're at
1,300
1,280 yards of total offense. The game had
Did
no
they fire
defense.
both defensive coordinators?
Well, I know the defensive coordinator at East Carolina, and it was very hard to see him have this game because I like Bob Trott. It was very hard to see that happen. You just have these games, I guess, but my God, you imagine just putting up 51 points and fucking losing, man. Same thing with SMU. Imagine having to continuously score just to win.
I had a buddy of mine. His name's James Perry. He's from Missouri, and James Perry coached high school football, and he had a team that scored over 600 points in a season. So if you do a 10-game schedule, it's
about 60 points a game. Yep.
Yeah, but they were like 6-4 because when
Oh
you
my
score
God, they
60 but you
gave
give up 62, you can't win.
That's awful.
But James, what a help coach he was, though. Damn, he's a good coach.
So let's get into NFL action, actually.
Okay.
So I'm going to start it off with, honestly, right now, the MVP has got I know that we don't like him on this show. I know we don't speak very highly of him, but my God, is he unreal right now? And that's Lamar Jackson from Baltimore. He just is. He is now in just 10 weeks or 9 weeks have 2 perfect passer rating games against Miami and Cincinnati. I know those aren't 2 high teams, but he is still unreal right now. Cincinnati is just fucking awful. They are just so bad. It is awful to watch. I feel so bad for Zach Taylor because he can't figure out that dumpster fire of a team to work with. And they may not win a game. We may see another 0-16 season again.
Well, I can figure out something, CJ.
Got another one?
Hardywood Brewing's Richmond Lager, one of our favorites, one of the show favorites. Just happened to be 2 in the fridge.
San Francisco goes up 3-0.
We had 2 in the fridge, so I thought I'd have one.
So I just wanted to say that about Lamar Jackson. He's looking really fun to watch, and he's my MVP vote right now because he is the one who's carrying his team. But his defense is playing very good for him. But
Richmond Lager's carrying Hardywood freaking craft brewers down in Richmond,
Would you
Virginia.
Fucking listen to this guy. All right.
I'm sorry.
Another terrible team that I want to talk about.
It's an all-star show, isn't it? Just saying.
Another terrible team that I want to talk about.
Hey, let's talk about this. Let's take a step back and let's talk about freaking Lamar.
Well, you could talk about him. I've already said
Well,
my
here's
piece
my thing.
on him.
Here's my thing about him. He is so dynamic in extending the play that
It's infuriating to watch, honestly.
it has to be so frustrating to a defense to watch this guy extend the play. You've done your job. You've done what you were supposed to do because that's the way the defensive coordinator designed the defense to defend this guy works. That's just how it's supposed to work. And you do your job, and he still makes the play. It remains to be seen if it can be consistently done because you know as well as I do, NFL defenses and coordinators find a way to stop you. And they find a way to confound you and frustrate offenses. Can that be done this season? I don't know. I don't know if there's enough time yet. But I'll tell you what. John Harbaugh and his staff have found a way to fit their offense around this cat rather than putting him into an offense. And that's what's successful. That's what makes people successful. When you take his skill set and you build around it rather than you trying to shoehorn him into something that he's not capable of doing. And I think that's what makes them so successful.
That's what a lot of teams should do, especially if you saw.
Then you play great defense.
Exactly. It's what Philadelphia did a couple years ago with Carson Wentz.
Sure.
And they were very successful. And then once Nick Foles came in, guess what they did? They tried to do the same system with Carson Wentz on Nick Foles, but guess what? They realized it wasn't working. So for the playoff game against Minnesota and then for the Super Bowl, they changed up their game plan completely with them, and they worked perfectly.
Sure.
And he became an MVP in the Super Bowl. So
Yeah.
another terrible team.
Philly.
Another terrible team that won this weekend was the Atlanta Falcons.
Where'd that come from?
What the hell happened? It's in New Orleans.
Yeah.
You're in the Dome. You have everything
Who dat
going
say?
for you.
The Falcons fucking
And you
say
didn't
that.
even get double-digit points. You lost to
No.
a team that was 1-8.
Was it 20-9? Was it
26-9.
26-9, sorry.
And Dan Quinn's probably going to get fired. I thought he was going to get fired if he lost this game, but he's not
Yeah.
now. He got saved a week. He got saved by the bell. And now
What do you
Atlanta,
think the difference was, though? What was the difference in how they'd played previously? Was it an issue of health? Was it a game plan? What was it, you think?
Well, honestly, I really just don't know. It's conference competition, so NFC South is going to be different. It just is. Conference competition is always different, so it's going to be tougher. And so that's the only explanation I can give, but I guess the Saints just had an off day. It happens from time to time where teams will just have off days. You'll just play bad, and that happens.
Yeah.
But I don't see it downing the Saints, okay? Like, this is something that they'll come back from because they're still at the top of the NFC South, and they're a very good team, so I don't see this holding them down. But the Atlanta Falcons get their second win of the year. So,
You know, and Matt Ryan didn't have an especially good day. I mean, he throws for 180 couple yards and 2 touchdowns and a pick. I don't know. I mean, they rushed for a good bit of yards. Maybe
Like I
that's
said, the
where it
Saints
was
just
at.
had a bad day. It happens. So keeping on the trend here of awful teams winning.
No. Let's not spoil the
no.
warm beer. But go ahead. Let's tie it all together. Go ahead. Fire it off. Hit me.
The Miami Dolphins have now won 2 games in a row.
Hey.
They are now
look
2
at
and
my
7.
look at my script.
They are
right
now
there.
2 and 7.
Yes.
How about that?
You know
After
what?
basically tanking for the top quarterback in the draft
They
to
didn't
find
do
somebody.
that. There was no way they were doing that. Anybody
Now
that
Brian
says
Flores is getting Gatorade bath dumped every single week, and it's pretty great.
that. You know what? Brian Flores is freaking cut his teeth in a Bill Belichick system. Is it
it's
possible?
like a band of misfits out there for Miami.
Exactly. And so when you look at what Belichick did with the Patriots, for many years he was a big 4th and 5th round guy, 6th round draft picks, and he turned them into freaking Super Bowl contenders. He turned them into do your job and execute and just find a way to be successful.
I'll say this. I am very thankful for you guys that you were willing to trade Minka Fitzpatrick, though. I'll get into that later about you trading Minka Fitzpatrick because, my God, has he turned out to be a very good star for Pittsburgh.
Yeah, you say that, but how big of a ball baby was he because he was playing for a losing team, and then you become problematic. And I watched this great video about it was about, I guess, in the briefest of words, it was about the changing nature of the game today from high school to the NFL. And it was done by Deion Sanders, and he was sitting at a bench at practice, at his high school practice. And he's basically saying that it's not the players changing the game. It's because the coaches have changed because of what the players are doing. And that the players have changed the game because coaches aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing.
I know they're treating them like angels and not treating them right.
Well,
and accordingly.
you know what I mean. You don't hold them accountable. You allow them to get out of things. And when you have somebody, and I'm not saying Minka
Go ahead.
I'm not saying
I'm all for it.
I'm not saying
I know he bitched and moaned down there in Miami.
Maybe he did. Maybe that's what he wanted. The ball baby attitude got him out. Well, look what that did for Antonio Brown. Look what that did for him. Look what that's done for a lot of players. And it just can't continue. It just cannot continue. That stuff drives me freaking nuts. Just shut your face. You've been paid.
It's not going to end anytime soon.
You've been
Coach.
paid an enormous sum of money.
It's not.
You see that happen in places like freaking New England. You see that happening in other places,
and that's
you
why
think
they're
that
a
happens
shining
in
star
freaking,
to me because they don't look at that.
You
shit.
think that happens in New Orleans?
No.
You think that happens in L.A.? You think that happens in these teams that are reasonably successful? There's no way. And why Pittsburgh, of all places, agreed to pick this guy up when they are one of those teams that says when you run your mouth and you do the things that are detrimental to the team, we'll get rid of you. And that's why I was kind of surprised that they did pick him up. But he by all accounts, I'm not saying that he was problematic. I'm just saying that's what it looked like. And when you're not winning, that's the first thing that good players say is, I want to get the fuck out of here. I want to go to some team that's going to win. And he ended up in a great situation, and by all accounts, it's working for both teams. It's working for both teams. And I'm really happy for Coach Flores down in Miami. They got their second win. He's got 2 damn more wins than freaking Cincinnati.
The dumpster fire of the Midwest. It really is. It just hasn't been going well for Cincinnati. All right, so Patrick Mahomes in his first game back has to face the team that just pisses me off every single week, which is the Tennessee Titans, because I love their coach,
We
Mike
talked
Vrabel.
about that for what 2 weeks ago. We talked about them.
They just make me
through old
so mad.
Going back
so
through old
fucking
scripts.
mad because they play so poorly against a lot of teams, and then they come out here and beat freaking Kansas City who we still think could be a Super Bowl contender with Pat Mahomes.
Going back 3 weeks, we talked about Titans with Tannehill. What the hell's going to happen with the Titans and Tannehill? We could go back.
Well, it wasn't even Tannehill this game. It was Derek fucking Henry who had 188 yards rushing. Tannehill only threw the ball 18 times.
Yeah, well.
Pat Mahomes comes back in his first game, throws the ball 50 times.
Wow.
As 446 yards of offense and 3 touchdowns. Could you help the man out, defense? I mean, could you help him out a little bit more? And the Titans spoil your win by blocking the field goal to tie it up to take it into overtime.
Yeah.
You guys piss me off so much, Tennessee, because I love your coach, Mike Vrabel. He's a football guy. He's a football guy's guy.
Yeah.
Okay, and you piss me off every week when I have to see him on the sideline just giving that smoldering intensity. And he's just thinking about, like, am I going to comb my mustache tonight when I take a bath? Like, you guys make me so mad on the sideline seeing Mike Vrabel look at the TV like he just has to shit. And it looks terrible. And then you come out and do this. You guys make me so mad, but you guys win. Congratulations.
You know who else is you're on that same tear, and you know who else I'm feeling about like that right now? Just those same similar thoughts is Sean McDermott and damn Buffalo Bills.
They started off so hot at the beginning of the year. They looked like they could easily be a threat in the AFC East. They only lost by 6 to New England, and they looked very good. Their defense has been good. And then the past couple of weeks, they get roached by Philly in the run game, and then they lose to Cleveland, who is having issues in their own right, like everywhere. They're having issues on and off the field, and you lose to a team like that. It just can't happen.
But Baker Mayfield makes some pretty good commercials.
Oh yeah, the progressive commercials when he's at the stadium
with the alarms going off.
I know, and he's just like chasing him around the stadium trying to find him. It's like he's living out in that camper again outside the stadium, like he was in Hard Knocks. It's like he just lives there at the stadium.
Yeah.
Those are the best commercials.
Well, that's his house, right? He's protecting his house.
Sure, I guess if you want to say that.
San Francisco is looking dynamic as hell, aren't they?
Well, they've been the dynamic team. They're the only undefeated team left in the country, left in the NFL. So I want to talk about your Bears.
No, we're talking about dumping warm beer from last week first.
Okay, dump the warm beer then.
We said, no, I'm not dumping warm beer. I'm going back to dumping warm beer because we were talking about teams that just were dumpster fires, as you so eloquently put it. And last week I said, let's dump the warm beer on the Jets, Browns, and Bears. And what did all 3 of those son of bitches do?
The Giants are so awful that the Jets beat them. Like, does that really have to happen?
Yeah.
I mean, come on. They only play each other once every 4 years, and the Jets fucking play them, and they beat you guys. What happened? You guys...
Bears over the Lions, Browns over the freaking Bills, Jets over the Giants.
The G-Men. The New York Football Giants. And then your Bears... who Mitch Trubisky threw
3 touchdowns.
I can't believe I'm saying this. 3 touchdowns.
You watch your mouth, boy.
What? He hasn't thrown 3 touchdowns all year, I think. No. And he throws 3 in one game.
He didn't throw 3 in 3 games, probably.
No, they had what, 1 yard of offense in the first half against Philly last week.
Wow.
To come out and beat, I don't want to say anything, but like Matt Stafford wasn't playing. Matt Stafford wasn't playing, and he's not going to be playing for a while. He might not actually be back for the Thanksgiving game.
What's wrong with him anyway?
He broke his back.
Yeah, I heard he
broke some bones in his back.
There was something I read. I read an article that the NFL is going to investigate why Stafford was missing, and I think there was a headline. A lot of the headline had something to do with it. Let me see if I can find that headline real quick. It said. Stafford sitting out for the Bears was the right decision, but there was a previous article about the NFL investigating why he was sitting out, and I'm not sure. I didn't read it, but there was something very interesting about it. I don't know. I don't care. Bears got to win, and I'm happy about that.
So the final game, I'll say this: the Packers beat the Panthers on the last play of the game. The Panthers get stuffed at the goal line to try and go for the touchdown, and then they have to get a 2-point conversion, but it didn't happen. And the Packers win that one. America is great again. The Cowboys have fucking lost again to the Vikings. Congratulations.
That's crazy.
The Vikings prevail against the Cowboys. Congratulations.
I don't get all that sometimes.
Well, maybe if you fire Jason Garrett, I might actually respect your team a little bit more.
You think that's what it is?
Well, you've had the same head coach for the past 10 years now, and you have won 2 playoff games. You have won 2 playoff games. And you're telling me
to win the game.
And you clearly are not winning at the game.
Yeah.
You haven't done anything, okay? And so when I see that, it goes back to your head coach, because you have back in 2016 when you had Dak Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott, you had all these great players. Your team was the number 1 seed in the NFC, and what happens? You lose to Aaron Rodgers and the Packers at home. They come into your house and they beat you guys, and I go, what the fuck happened? You guys were the number 1 seed, and all of a sudden you lose in the second round of the playoffs? That comes back to coaching.
We didn't do diddly poo.
That comes back to bad coaching. That doesn't come down to your players. Like, how the fuck? They've been doing so great all season, and all of a sudden they just turn it off in the fucking playoffs? No, that's coaching. And that's why I don't like Jason Garrett. Okay? So, last game I want to talk about in depth is the Pittsburgh Steelers played the Los Angeles Rams. It was a boring game if you were an offensive-minded person, if you love to see offense. But I am a Steelers fan who grew up watching Steelers defenses with Joey Porter, James Harrison, Troy Polamalu, Ryan Clark, James Ferrier, Brett Kiesel, Casey Hampton.
Praise
all
the Lloyd.
These guys.
Greg Lloyd.
What? Greg Lloyd. Well, he retired before I was a fan.
All right. Praise the
Greg
Lloyd.
Lloyd. You had
Praise the Lloyd.
Kevin White. You had
Kevin White.
The outside linebacker.
Wasn't White.
What was his name then?
I don't know. I can't think off the top of my head.
Touchdown San Francisco. You had great linebackers for the Steelers, and I remember the defensive slugfest that our defense would get into, and this was one of them. This was a game that I was so happy to watch. We forced 3 interceptions on Jared Goff, and they threw an interception on a fake punt. We forced a turnover on a fake punt. We returned a fumble for a touchdown. It was a defensive matchup, 4 sacks. We held the Rams to 3 offensive points. They only got 3 points on the board. They got a safety and a defensive touchdown on the Steelers. The Steelers' offense...
It was Kevin Green.
Fuck. All right. It was fuck.
Yeah,
I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
All right.
Way to go. Joey Porter.
It wasn't White. It was Green. All right.
Joey Porter, top 10 Steelers linebacker all time.
Yeah.
In the top 10.
Yeah.
He's number 9.
Question. No question. Well, we'll do that list. We'll do that list like later in the winter whenever we want to get into lists like that. But the Steelers, it was a slugfest. And as I said before when we were talking about the Dolphins, Minka Fitzpatrick is balling out for the Steelers, and he has been a great pickup for them. Since his time being with the Steelers, he has 4 interceptions, 2 defensive touchdowns, 2 fumble recoveries. He's a beast, and he is playing great for our defense, and our defense is playing like they just don't care. After an 0-3 start, the Steelers are now 5-4. When everyone still calls for the head of Tomlin saying, fire this man, fire this guy, guess what he does every single fucking time? He turns his team around, and he says, guys, we're not going to play for a Super Bowl. You can't think like that. But you have to play for your pride, and you have to play for the number and the insignia on your chest. And you have to play for this organization. Because that's what the Chief would have wanted. That's what Dan would have wanted. That's what this whole organization wants. It's just for you guys to play for the organization and for Steelers Nation. And guess what they have been doing ever since then? They have only lost 1 fucking game, and that was 3 points to the Baltimore Ravens. And since then, they have been lights out. And this game was no exception. They played great against the defending NFC champions. They played great against the Rams. They shut down Sean McVay, the offensive guru, the man
they've been spitting and sputtering. I wouldn't exactly say that they're.
It's still great to think about, though, that
I'm not saying that they're not playing well. I mean, Pittsburgh played. The one thing about them this weekend was just the attacking nature of their defense. They just got after
pressure.
Well,
And what that game brought me to was last year when Chicago played them. What did Chicago do? They held them to 6 points.
Yeah.
They held them to 6 points.
You think that has something to do with the fact that Goff probably doesn't handle pressure very well?
No, he does not.
You don't think? You think?
What did the Patriots do against him?
Oh, they want
Pressure.
another ring.
Pressure.
They want another ring.
Yeah, and pressure. What did the Saints do against them for the first half? And then they just let up in the second. Pressure. It's exactly what teams need to do against him. He doesn't handle it well. Because the Patriots, guess what they wanted to do against him?
That's been my whole thing with this whole Lamar Jackson thing. You see what Sean McVay cooked up with Jared Goff and how successful they were last year getting to the Super Bowl, and then you give Belichick 2 weeks to prepare for you and find a way to defend you, and they come up with a way to do it. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be Belichick, but it'll be somebody else who will come up with a way to defend Lamar Jackson, and then it'll get copied, it'll get duplicated, it'll get perfected, and then his back-to-back perfect QBRs people are going to go, QB what? This guy's terrible, and it's going to happen. It's just going to happen.
Yeah, I do see that happening. I hope it happens for Pittsburgh to beat him the second time. All right,
and it will. It will. Trust me, it's going to happen.
So that is NFL week number 10. Thank God we still have like 7 more weeks.
Did I have anything else on my list?
Thank God we still have 7 more weeks of NFL. Thank goodness. Because final segment of the show, it's Hops of the Week time.
Yep.
I'm gonna start us off. I got one, and it is about Deion Sanders. Florida State has been advertising their head coaching job out there. And one of the names that has been coming up in the leaders to be nominated for the new head coach of Florida State has been Deion Sanders. Florida State, please, 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 please pick Deion Sanders as your head coach. If you want kids from all over the country to come to your university to play football, that is the man that you want at the helm. That is the guy that brings the intensity and the energy for those kids to come there. He is a perfect guy because guess what they love? He was cocky in college. He was cocky in college. He was cocky in the NFL.
Well, you can do that when you're good.
But what he did
may have been
off
cocky
the field
is
that he was one of the best people out there.
Yeah.
He was a person that cares more about you than you caring about him.
I was never a big fan of him, but I think you're right. I think that when you take a look back in retrospect and saw what he did, he was cocky, he was brash, he was outlandish, he was a number of things, but he backed it up every time. And then anybody that's ever been around him and ever talked to him, he's always had
great things to say.
Quality things to say about Deion. And when you talk about prime time,
and I would actually cheer for Florida State. I actually would.
If he could resurrect that program, or even remotely return it to anything close to where they were. What's going on there?
No, it's just NFL mic'd up. That's all. It's just mic'd up, Coach. That's all it is.
Yeah, it's Wagner. He's good, man. Man, is he good.
But Deion Sanders, please, Florida State, pick him as your new head coach. I would actually cheer for Florida State and your team.
That was Bobby Wagner.
because Deion Sanders is a great human being and he's a great player. And
Yeah.
the people who say that he fucking doesn't have any college coaching experience, guys, it's not fucking rocket science, okay? This is not a place to go and say, like, well, you need like
You got a
10,000
microphone.
years.
Stop yelling.
You need
You got a
10,000
microphone.
years of experience. No, you fucking don't, okay? There are coaches out there who get
Hey,
thrown into jobs like
I have
this
a buddy
and
of
succeed.
mine. A buddy of mine from
Okay.
Michigan, and he's been coaching high school football for, golly, 35 years probably. He's been coaching college or high school football for 35 years, and you know what? He never played the game ever.
Exactly. It's not fucking rocket science.
Right. He was with a program for 25 years and never had a losing season
It's
for
just-
25 years. I've been coaching for 25 years, and
I think you've only had two.
two in the last 15 years or 16 or 17 years. I've only had 2 losing seasons.
And also, these people.
My first 8 or 9 years, I never had a winning season.
Yeah.
So
For the first, like, the people who are saying this are the people who also said, yeah, well, Herman Edwards isn't going to be successful at Arizona State. What are you fucking talking about? He was winning at the NFL. He took the Jets to the playoffs. The Jets, of all teams,
we
to the
play
playoffs.
to win the game.
And what is he doing down in Arizona State? He's turning the program around.
Yeah.
He is turning Broken Condom State into a very good team
Why do you call it that?
because that's just what they are. They're known for their explicit, they're known for their women in sports down there. I could tell you
No
that much.
kidding.
So that's my hops, Deion
They're
Sanders.
5.
Please,
They're 5-4.
please, Deion, become the new head coach of Florida State, and Florida State do the right thing.
Good luck to him. Good luck to him. You know what? I think you might be right. I think you might be able to pull it off. All right, so you're down to me?
Yep.
All right, hops of the week. It's got to go out. My father was a great man. Your grandfather. Today would have been one of those days where I'd have called him on the phone and said, Happy Veterans Day. I loved my father. I loved everything he represented. And to you and everybody else who is a member of the military serving today or in the recent past, and I take my hat off to everything that they stand for. Some of my former players are in the military. Some of their lives have been turned upside down because of the military and their combat experiences and things like that. And once again, I got to take my hat off to those young guys. Just a special group of people that decide to trade one uniform for another uniform, and give the ultimate sacrifice to protect their country. So my hat's off to the guys out there, Veterans Day and stuff like that. I read this really cool article today on ESPN about a guy who was in the military and gave everything he could to try and get back and stepped onto the college football field. And he's 33 years old. He plays at Colorado State. And he's freaking playing at Colorado State. And I saw that article, and I don't know. I couldn't get enough of it, and I thought it was the coolest thing. Let me see if I can find it really quick here. I'm pulling it up. Here it is. How an Army staff sergeant became a 33-year-old walk-on, by Alex Scarborough. It's on ESPN.com. You should check it out. Pretty cool article. You talk about a guy willing to sacrifice everything for his country and then work his tail off to play for a college football team is nothing short of amazing. That was really cool. And then my next hops of the week, we played our 10th game, or week 10 game this week. And yes, it was a big winner. We were successful. We didn't play as well as we wanted to. We were kind of sleepy at the beginning, but we ended up pulling it out. But anyway, at game time, it was about 24 degrees. CJ, I'm telling you what, it was cold as shit.
I don't care.
In Noakesville.
That's football weather.
Dude, it was not football weather. It was cold as shit. I could handle 40.
That's your opinion.
50 and 40 is great. 25, 24, and 25 just is awful.
It's bear weather.
So we had a salamander on the sideline, a freaking kerosene powered heater blowing into a tent, and it was awesome. We were able to keep our kids warm, and it worked out really well. But at the end of the day, my buddy came up to me and he's like, I got rechargeable heated socks. And I was like, what? He goes, yeah. He goes, I was like, I broke down and I paid $50 for a pair of rechargeable battery powered heated socks. I'd have given $1,000 for a pair of fucking socks like that on Friday. I can't tell you. I went by a parent and they were like, nice game, coach. And I looked at that lady and I said, did you see my toes anywhere around here? Because I can't find them. I think they fucking broke off. My feet were frozen. I had toasty toes on and they didn't toasty anything. They did toasty shit. I couldn't believe it. So, you know what? Perfect investment. I'm going to get me a pair of heated socks, some high quality. I don't give a shit if I got to pay $100. I'm getting me a pair of heated socks. So my hops of the week is going out to heated socks along with our veterans and remembrance of my dad. And I know that's a Memorial Day thing, but my dad was a hell of a veteran. And so I couldn't get enough over those fucking heated socks. I just looked over at him and he just smiled at me and I was like, "You son of a bitch, you." That was a good thing. So I think I'm gonna get me a pair of heated socks. And with that, I'm done. I got no more hops. Yeah, I know. No, the dumbasses are at the back door, aren't they?
Yeah,
they can wait 2 more minutes while we end this show.
So
dogs are at the
thank
back
you for
door.
joining us in the pub. Hashtag late night podcasting. As always, we hope you guys have a safe
I'm not gonna lie,
week.
CJ. I kind of like late night podcasting. It's not late
Well,
night. But I like
our special guest did not show up this week, so unfortunately, I know
What?
you guys were
What are you talking
you guys were probably
What are
waiting
you
on
talking
us,
about, CJ?
and
I
we're hoping
tried
to
to
have
make-
him on this weekend. I am hoping. Don't
was my
promise anything because that's
birthday.
not what this show is about. We're not about making promises.
Hey, you
We're
know
just
what?
About drinking.
Coach Smith is coming back on the show. He's
He
coming
is?
back for our special guest.
When?
When we have the freaking
Okay,
the curb
that's
stomp.
fine.
The curb
That's
stomp
fine.
is coming back on, and we're gonna bring freaking
Okay.
Coach Smith.
All right. Well, don't spoil anything. But once again, thank you for joining us. Hope you have a safe week. Enjoy your week. As always, guys. Peace out.
Hey, we love you.